real estate podcast with Rachel and Miller and real estate. Yeah, that. Hi.
Well, we'll
we
clean that up real quick.
yeah, we'll clean that up. Hi, welcome everybody to the Rachel and real estate with Rachel and Miller podcast. There we go.
There
I got
it
it
is.
all out. Yay. We have a special guest with us today, but before we get too far into that, Rachel, I'm going to have you, if you would be so kind, to read our cute little disclaimer.
Absolutely. Welcome to Real Estate with Rachel and Mr. Miller, where we discuss real estate, real life, and occasionally things we probably shouldn't. We're pros in the buying and selling of residential real estate, but nothing you hear here is legal, financial, or professional advice that is outside of our licensed wheelhouse. We are just three humans talking. Proceed accordingly. Welcome.
There we go. Our special guest, we have the chief of police from Ridgecrest, who said, "Yes, Scott, I'll happily go on your podcast." And I'm very excited to welcome Chief of Police Mario Ist, and I am just over. I'm very excited about that. We have had a lot of people talk to us about realtor safety and even homeowner safety when it comes to selling and buying and selling homes. And we were talking in the green room about talking about even realtor safety when doing open houses. So, Chief, if you want to kind of give us your background, I know some of it, but if, I know that you were up in Central California as a PIO, and you came down to our humble little town of Ridgecrest. I think was it 3 years? I think it was 3 years ago, wasn't it?
So it's barely, not even two yet.
Okay, fine, a
June
year
of
and a half ago.
24. I came down June of 24. I previously worked at the Tracy Police Department,
Tracy.
where I was part of the command staff and ran the public information unit. I've been in public safety for most of my adult life. I became a paramedic when I was 21. I became a police officer at 25, and I've been in and out of those fields for many years, working in different communities, the San Francisco Bay Area, the Central Valley, and the Tracy, Stockton, San Joaquin area. And now I'm lucky to get to be here in Ridgecrest.
We're happy to have you, and I think everybody in Ridgecrest, except maybe the people that are on the wrong side of the law, are happy that you're here. But
The people who need full service don't usually appreciate it.
right? And Chief, you did some things that we had been talking about for years in Ridgecrest. Is we got police body cams, which I'm all for, and I think I've seen a couple of your press releases saying, "Hey, the body cams they were able to show what actually happened versus he said she said. Camera doesn't blink, and it was able to show what actually happened. So I think body cams are awesome. I love that.
Yeah, they're a great tool. We always have to remind the public that the officer doesn't see everything the body cam sees, and the body cam doesn't see everything the officer sees, but it certainly gives us a different perspective and audio that helps us to decipher what actually goes on a scene. And the more officers and cars you have, the more views and angles and things that you see. So it does help us from a training perspective to look at how we handle certain incidents and how we can improve on our delivery service to the community.
It's well received, and myself as a community member, a realtor, and just a regular guy, I appreciate everything you do here in Ridgecrest.
We're
Rachel,
happy
go
to be
ahead.
here.
Rachel, go ahead. You were going to start some stuff, I think.
No, I'm listening. Oh, you want me? I was listening intently.
So,
So, Chief, we have two burning topics we'd like to discuss today, and let's dive into the first one, which Scott has mentioned, is realtor safety. Realtor safety. Oftentimes, we are alone when we're doing open houses, and that means we're welcoming people that we don't know into a small space. And sometimes that can feel a little precarious for different reasons for men and women. Could you give us some ideas and thoughts on how to stay safe? Everything from how we advertise on social media to putting up physical open house signs because we're out in the neighborhoods, and then being in the homes. How can we keep ourselves safe and aware?
Well, the first thing you can do is have good situational awareness. Know what's going on around you. Pay attention. When you get that funny feeling, pay attention to it. If somebody comes into a house and you get the funny feeling, don't go to the back room with them. Tell them I'll wait out here. Feel free to look around. Things like that. when you advertise, I would talk about our team will be there doing an open house as opposed to I will be there. Because if somebody's just looking online or at a publication, when they see that I'm doing it, they see that it's one person. When you talk about my team will be there, there's at least the perception that there'll be more than one person there, and maybe that could make you less of a target to even go look at.
Sure.
When you're out putting your signs out, see if somebody's paying attention to you. Are they following you on your route to see what your signs are? Do they ask questions that aren't real estate directed, but more personal? Where are you from? Are you married? Things of that nature. Realize those as red flags that have nothing to do with home buying and try to address that. When you look at addressing them, there are a couple of things you can do. You have to know your own abilities, things that you may have done in advance to protect yourself, pepper spray, concealed weapons permit, jujitsu, whatever that might be. But you have to ask yourself in each of these situations, something's not right. Can I handle it myself? Do I call a friend or do I call the police? And remember, call the police is an easy default. We can go out there, we can check it out. If there's nothing amiss, we just dust everybody off and say thanks and move on. But if it's enough to make a regular community member feel uncomfortable, it's enough that we should have our officers go out and take a look and make sure that there's not something going wrong there before somebody is victimized. Don't ever wait until it's too late and you think, man, I wish I would have called the cops 20 minutes ago.
Chief, is text 911 available in a lot of communities?
Ridgecrest does have text to 911. You can text and it will come up on a dispatch cell phone via 911 and they can communicate back and forth. One of the pitfalls to that system is we can't initiate a text to you via the 911 text system.
So if, say, there was an agent in the house and was uncomfortable, didn't want to make a phone call, they could text 911 and say, hi, I'm at 7th and Community Street. I have somebody here who's making me uncomfortable. I'm a realtor, blah, blah, blah. And the dispatch could take appropriate action, whatever that may be, whether it be sending an officer or, okay, we're standing by if you need something, or just take appropriate action.
Whatever your text says is how we would base our response. Try to be as specific as possible. We have to prioritize calls. If there are multiple things happening at once, we have to decide what we go to right now. So if you just say somebody's making me uncomfortable, that may not be something that gets you an immediate response if other things are going on. But if you say, I get the impression this person is going to assault me, they're doing things like trying to get me to go to a back room, things like that. I need an officer here to help me. And the other thing to remember is we're talking about property. So generally you guys greet people at the front door, so you're near the exit. Try not to let people get between you and the exit. Clearly they have to come in, but when it starts getting weird, make sure you're near a place where you can simply escape. Because remember, more people are out in the neighborhood than are in the house. So if you feel like an assault or some type of criminal activity is imminent, just leave. We can deal with whatever happens to the house. We can try to track the person down. Just get out of the environment. Get to your car, lock your car, call 911. You don't have to stay and, go one-on-one with a criminal. Just get out of there.
You mentioned text 911. You'll have to forgive me. I don't know about that. I don't know if Ventura County has that. Does that work in terms of you just open up your text app and text 911 to 911 with the address, and will that just kind of ping or pin where you're at?
It should ping your location, but you should know where you are also. As realtors, obviously you know all the addresses to your properties, so you're a pretty good group for knowing where you are.
Yeah.
But just in case there's a problem with the ping, which normally is effective, know the address and put it out early.
Yeah.
This is who I am, this is where I'm at, this is my problem. Because if the dispatcher loses communication with you, that heightens our sense of need to get there sooner. If you say, hey, I feel like there's a pending assault, I can't get out, and then you don't reply, that changes how we look at your situation and how we might distribute resources to get to you sooner.
When I'm showing homes, whether I'm in an open house for a couple hours or doing a scheduled showing with just a client, I learned really quick, and I did make a rookie mistake, not that anything happened, but my spidey senses went off, was I don't enter rooms first, especially bedrooms or like big walk-in closets or garages or pantries. I open the door and step aside and let them go in and look, and I oftentimes don't join them. I'll go in, like it's a big bedroom or something like that, I'll join them, but like a big master closet or a garage or a utility room or a pantry, something that is small, I typically do not go in those rooms with them. I'll stand at the door and I approach it as, I'm gonna let you look around. I don't want to hover. So, but in the very beginning, I didn't have the, I just didn't know to do that. And
You had to learn.
I entered a small one-car garage that was an almost an underground garage with no light. I went in and I was showing a man and he followed me and I was like, "Ooh, don't do that." And I even looked at him and said a joke and I said, "My husband knows where I am right now, so don't do anything funny." It's very, I know that when we were talking before we went live, we said men and women can both be assaulted, and of course, but as women, it can be like all of a sudden we go, ooh, ooh, like we don't feel safe all of a sudden, and it's scary.
Right. And I'll reiterate, always try to be between the person and the exit.
Yes.
Like you said, you stand by the door, so if you have to run, you got to run. Get out of
Yes.
there. The single biggest thing you can do is get out of the situation.
Yes.
Who cares what happens in the house? If they break something, they steal something, those are all lesser things than you protecting your personal safety. So when you feel uncomfortable, just leave. Even if the person's
Yes.
trying to engage you, just tell them, I'm going to step outside. And that's when you decide if you're going to call a friend or call the police to help you.
Yes. As some say, haul ass.
Pretty much. But
You
really,
also,
again, I want to reiterate, it's about knowing your situational awareness, know
yes.
your surroundings. There's a training class that we send officers to called Crime Prevention CPTED, Crime Prevention via Environmental Factors. For example, we try not to have things that hang down below 6 feet or bushes that are higher than 30 inches, because those are places people can easily hide. So that's just a general home safety tip, is create your landscape environment where it's not favorable, for example, a criminal to hide without being easily seen. So again,
Interesting.
shrubs no higher than 30 inches and 6 feet is the minimum of a tree height. That way you don't have a
I
tree hanging down so low, somebody could just hide behind it and come out, like when you're coming out of a residence. So when you're done for the day, remember, you're not just willy-nilly done for the day. Remember that somebody could be waiting for you outside. So open the door, take a look around, take in your environment. Situational awareness is the single biggest thing you can do, not only as a realtor, but in your life, to make sure you don't end up in a situation that could get you or your family harmed.
Chief, before we went live, we were talking about realtor safety like we are right now, and you said something that was, I had never thought about it, but a lot of people have Ring cameras, and you were saying to get your portable Ring camera and put it there when you're doing an open house. So
Absolutely. I worked
I
very closely with the Central Valley Real Estate Group up north when I was up there, and it's one of the things that I mentioned several times in speaking with their groups at different functions. Is remember, the Ring camera doesn't have to be bolted to a door frame.
no,
You can put it on a nice, neat picture frame type mount and just have it where it gets everybody who enters, because now that's your data. So you don't have to ask the homeowner, hey, there was this weird guy in here. He made me feel uncomfortable. Can you give me the data? It's yours. And now you have that in perpetuity. Even if you just want to go back and think, I remember the lady I talked to about this. You can go back to your camera and say, this is the lady right here. And
right.
it'll help refresh your recollection.
As an agent, do we need to disclose you're being filmed?
Put it on the
Whatever would
RPA.
normally be the case if you were showing a house that had internal surveillance anyway, that's up to the realtor organization whether or not you have to disclose that, because a lot of houses now have internal cameras. I would argue that if you have to disclose that the house has internal cameras as they look around, but so many houses have them now, I can't imagine you disclose that, hey, there's a Ring camera at the front door on every house.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be something that your organization would set the rules for. Your organization or the state would say if you actually have to make that disclosure. But even still, you could make your sign, please be advised, you're recorded upon entry.
Yeah,
And
I
now
had
the
done
disclosure's there.
an open house last summer, and unbeknownst to me, there were video cameras in every single room in the house. I didn't know as an agent. And when I found out afterwards, it felt a little weird, a little violating. Like, I would like to know that everything I'm doing is being watched.
When you're working your
Like,
negotiation angle,
not that I did anything bad, but it felt a little bit like, it just felt a little bit of a, what is the word? Of a
Intrusive.
violation.
Right.
it doesn't hurt to disclose anyway. You have nothing to hide. It's simply a security measure.
Yeah.
I would hope that the clients appreciate that you take security seriously, because you sometimes have more than one person in the house. Hopefully, it'll make them feel more secure as well, that you take security as a priority, not only for yourself, but other people who might be looking at a property at the same time.
True.
Chief, what are your thoughts? I just did this the other day. We had a house in the market for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, and there was 2 keys, but the house had been on the market and there'd been contractors in and stuff like that. Well, my spidey senses said, I'm going to go get a new door put on, not a new door handle, a new lock. So I just went over and spent $25 and put it and had my handyman come over and install a new lock. I didn't know who had a copy. I didn't know where that stuff had been. And there's only 2 keys. Most people have more than 1 key to their house. So I just went over and changed all the locks. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a good idea when we are and a house is being sold, just to change all the locks from a security standpoint? Or
Certainly doesn't hurt, especially in the case of a rental where they don't change the locks every time there's a move out, because you don't know how many people have keys. Of course, you'd have to consult with the homeowner because it's their property. You couldn't
Right.
create a situation where you put a new lock in and the person who owns the property can't get in.
darn,
But there's no issue there as long as the homeowner is aware and has access. If you do it because you realize, hey, there's some security issue, and you tell them, that wouldn't be anything criminal on the police side. It would be more of a practice as far as the realtor group goes.
right? I felt better, and I told both of the people, I was like, hey, I put a new lock on it. Here are the keys. House sold today, or when it closed escrow today, and I left the keys at escrow. I'm like, hey, you can pick these up from the escrow officer.
And remember that generally there are 3 house keys: the front door, the inner garage door, and the outer garage door. Sometimes those are all the same, so it might be beneficial to change all 3 if you're going to change one.
This sounds like a loaded question, and it's not. And this actually happened next to me. This was before you came into Ridgecrest. House was empty and had all their stuff in the house still, like the washer and dryer, refrigerator, everything. The criminal went in through the doggy door and then opened the
Oh, little
garage
criminal.
door. A big dog.
Big dog.
He went in and took the washer, dryer, refrigerator, freezer, dishwasher. They were right next to me. I didn't hear a thing. My dogs didn't even bark. It's probably a good idea when your house is vacant, when it's being sold, to block off the doggy door or put spikes down there so someone crawls through.
Even if you go on vacation, anytime the dog isn't there to utilize the door, they all come with a little, barrier. Now, granted, that's, 1/8, maybe 1/4 inch. It can be kicked in, but at least it's a barrier. The other thing I would suggest, again, we're in this is 2026. Every house, like if I sold a house, if my house was for sale and vacant, I would probably put 1 or 2 Ring cameras inside to alert me if somebody's inside,
Right.
because I'm not there every day to look at it, to ensure that people aren't getting in there squatting, stealing. And the one on the front door, that's not always the access point. A lot of times it's the back of the house, or they'll break into the garage, pull their truck into the garage, load up all their stuff, and then drive away. So if you have some discreetly placed cameras, at least hey, somebody's inside, and you can make a notification to the police immediately, because if no one has permission, that's considered a burglary in progress in most instances. And that would be a priority call where we would send staff over immediately.
Speaking to that, we had a handful of years ago, we live in a townhome situation where there's carports and detached garages, and everybody pretty much utilizes entering and exiting their townhomes through the carports. Front doors are rarely used. A lot of people do have Ring cameras in our carports now. but we had a series of car break-ins, and those that had a Ring camera were able to capture footage of the same perpetrator going into each car. And we did call the police, and we were told, can't really do anything unless we catch him in the act. It's great that you got the footage and that you were alerted and it was happening, but no action can be taken based on the footage. You're
Where
smiling.
you live? You don't live in Ridgecrest.
No, they don't.
I
So-
do love our police chief, but he was not our chief at the time.
So the issue you have there is the odds of catching people generally are less once they have completed the crime. It's a lot of work to go back and get the video, try to find the person. I'm hoping that you misunderstood when they said simply catching it on video isn't enough to make an arrest, because I would argue that that's not true. If we recognize the criminal and see them committing the crime, that is satisfactory to create probable cause for an arrest. Now, we still have to count on the DA to file the case, the prosecutors to follow through with prosecution, and things of that nature. But for probable cause for an arrest, seeing somebody commit a crime on video is sufficient. Now, there are some legal issues with whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony. Misdemeanors not committed in our presence simply require that you, as the property owner, agree to make a private party arrest, or what's often known as a citizen's arrest, and then we can make an arrest on your behalf for a misdemeanor not committed in our presence. There are some liability issues with that. You know, if it were turning out to be a false arrest, you would have liability because we're simply facilitating the arrest for you. But in the instances of a felony, we can make that arrest as soon as we see it on video. What I'll offer for Ridgecrest, many of our officers have grown up here. In fact, we only have one officer who doesn't live in our area out of all of our sworn officers. They know a lot of people in town, especially criminals. They will recognize that we so often, they will say, oh, that's, Joe Smith, and they'll go pick him up for it almost immediately. It's hard to hide in a town our size. I think you live in a bigger town where the intimate knowledge of the local criminals probably isn't as in depth, but our
We have
officers
become a
are
little
very
bit more
knowledgeable.
vagrant over the last 5-6 years. So it used to be a time where we knew who was who, but now we have more people coming in and out, and we can thank the what is it called? The clinic around the corner that's keeping everybody
Healthy.
happy, and yeah.
methadone clinic. That's what it is.
So it really comes down to whether or not the police agency is in a position to provide full service or if they lack the resources. In Ridgecrest, we have a very supportive community, which has translated into a very supportive city council, and the city manager is very supportive of police work. We get
Nice.
all the support we need here to take care of problems, to get technology to help us take care of problems. I ask my officers to be lawful, polite, and aggressive. And when I mean aggressive, I don't mean personally. I mean, we will go after people. If you commit a crime here and you flee to Los Angeles, Nevada, Arizona, we've gone to all those places to find you and bring you back to Kern County Jail. So we take it very seriously. We're very fortunate to live in a community that has such a high inclination for supporting the police that we want to make sure that we're providing the absolute best service we can with the resources we have. So in your situation, we would try to figure out who that person was and go make an arrest for them victimizing you in your carport based on
Understood.
that video.
Sure. We are quickly running out of time, and we do want to get into some of the squatter stuff, but I'm wondering, in 30 to 60 seconds, can you talk to someone like me who tried to get comfortable with firearms so that I could get my concealed carry? I tried last year and I was so uncomfortable. I just couldn't do it. I was not enjoying it. Scott was really excited that I was shooting guns. I was like, I hate every minute of it. And I didn't follow through. Any advice?
Sure. Go to somebody who's a gun instructor. Don't go
I
with a
did.
friend who just happens to own a gun.
I did
And
not.
it's a little bit scary, right? The gun explodes when the bullet goes off. It can be uncomfortable. You just have to let some of that out of your head and give yourself some exposure. You know, you have to shoot a lot, especially somebody who's never, fired a gun. It's new. You have to make sure you're using a firearm that you're comfortable with. The recommendation these days is pretty much a 9mm handgun is the ticket. Uh, we can get into ballistics and a lot of those other things, but it's the easiest to handle and to be accurate and comfortable with, generally speaking, of all the calibers available. And there are so many models available, you can find the one that fits your hand the best you can. In Ridgecrest, we believe that the Second Amendment exists. Unless there's some prohibition that you can't have a firearm, we issue hundreds of concealed weapons permits each year to our responsible community members so that they can protect themselves in line with the Constitution. But it's really about exposure. We have a couple of companies here in town that do a very, very good job of kind of lightening the mood and making people comfortable getting familiar with firearms. But then you also have to go out and practice regularly. It's not something where you get a concealed weapons permit and you shoot your gun once a year. You're going to want to find, maybe a personal protection course where you go and they show you different types of real life scenarios where you might have to use your concealed weapons permit to protect you or your family. One of the key things about having a concealed weapons permit is it should be concealed until there's no way for it to be concealed anymore. It's not get your gun out and tell somebody, get away from me. If you have to get your gun out, it's probably at a point where you would have to use it. Because we don't want to get, every fight I get into as a police officer, there's at least one gun in the fight, because I bring one. So you're going to have to protect that as well. So the more people have no idea you would be armed, the better protected you actually are, because you will surprise them when they try to, cause you great disability or death, and you have the ability to protect yourself. But it's really about practice and familiarity. Just resign yourself to the fact that it's going to be new and set a schedule. Every 3 weeks, I'm going to go to the range, I'm going to shoot 100 rounds. And eventually, you will not be uncomfortable anymore. I've taken people who were genuinely anti-gun, taught them how to shoot, got them lots of exposure, and now they're concealed weapons permit holders.
Amazing.
So,
It's something my dad wanted for me before he passed. I was not able to do it, unfortunately. So
Let's get it done.
I'll revisit. Yeah.
If you want to come out here, I will take you to the range.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
That's what it takes to get you to get to Ridgecrest, huh? Thanks, Chief.
You've been trying to get me out to Ridgecrest. I'll do it because I know Scott, you'll join me.
I will.
We'll do it.
Absolutely.
We'll take you out. We'll send some rounds down range. I own a couple of guns, so you can shoot some of what I have and just give you an idea of what's available and what makes you comfortable. But there are lots of
take you up on that.
there are lots of people who will teach you how to shoot, probably in your community and in ours.
Yes, but we'll start with yours.
Anytime.
Because that's the first
You
offer.
guys want to talk a little bit about squatters' rights?
Yes.
Yes.
Squatters' rights is one of those things when you deal with the police that comes down to, again, the disposition of your police department and how they enforce these kinds of laws. For me, when you talk about squatters' rights, what I hear are trespassers. Because actual squatters' rights to take over an abandoned property requires you to not only live in the property as if it were your own. So you're not sneaking in the back door and sleeping at night. That's not being a squatter who could eventually end up with tenant rights. You have to take over the property. You have to live there for 5 years. So I know of no situation where I've gone as a police officer where somebody's actually lived in a place 5 years when the issue comes up, hey, these people don't live here, they're squatting, they're trespassing. It's not that complicated. We can go in there, and if they don't leave, they can be arrested for trespassing. Because in order for them to have exclusive dominion and control over the property, they have to be there 5 continuous years.
Wow.
Of course, this is California. The property taxes have to be paid up because the government needs their cut. So oftentimes, the property taxes wouldn't be paid on a truly abandoned house where somebody's just foreclosed and walked away. There's a chance the property taxes haven't been paid. So unless the squatter is paying the property taxes, it's not eligible to be taken over by another party because there are back taxes. So at the end of the day, it's important that you pay attention to your properties. The longer somebody's there, and again, it depends on your police jurisdiction. We take it very seriously. You're not going to squat in Ridgecrest. If you squat in Ridgecrest, we will arrest you. We will send you to Bakersfield, and you're going, provided you haven't met the legal requirements. Which again, I don't know of anybody I've ever known who squatted for 5 years successfully, because somebody's going to check on the house. But the single biggest thing you can do is know that I was at the house last week, and this week somebody's in it. If you were at the house 9 months ago, and now you come back and somebody's in it, that's going to be a tougher sell, because a lot of these people will have fake rental agreements and things like that. So the more regularly you're there, you immediately recognize, hey, somebody's trying to live in this house. I'm going to involve the police, because you don't need to evict a squatter. They're trespassing. Now, there are places, certainly in California, where the police department doesn't want to engage in that because of the political nature of the unhoused.
Right.
In Ridgecrest, we support the unhoused people with the resources that we have. While limited, we try to provide them with resources, whether it's through Veterans Affairs, the homeless facilities that are available in the county, but not necessarily in our community. If you need a bus pass to get somewhere where you need to be, we're not anti-homeless people, but you're not going to take over a community member's home and just say you live there. We'll pay attention, and we will use the trespass laws to get you on your way and try to find your resources so you don't have to come back and try that stuff again here. But because of politics, you will find some police agencies who want to say, hey, that's civil, we're not going to get involved. It's disappointing from a homeowner perspective, because I think people have a right to their property. But each agency has to decide what they'll pallet. Again, with the support of this community, the city council, and the city manager, I'm confident that the way we handle these situations is what they would expect our staff to be doing.
I love that.
Chief, you mentioned two things, and I'm wondering if and when they ever intersect. Somebody has taken over a home for 5 years, which I understand is very difficult to do because within those 5 years they can be considered trespassers and be removed. However, let's say that they have been there for 5 years and the homeowners have been paying their taxes, their property taxes.
Do they share possession with the owner,
No,
or is the owner gone?
the owner
So
is
one of
maybe
the
in
things
another
it has to
state.
do, it has to be what's called a hostile adverse possession, meaning they're occupying it without the homeowner's knowledge. So if you can do that for 5 years, yes, you could establish rights to the property.
Okay,
I've just never, in my experience, had a situation where it's been 5 years. It's usually been a few months. Somebody's kind of let their property sit, and now they go back to decide, okay, we're going to clean it up and sell it, and now somebody's living there.
sure.
That doesn't meet the 5-year rule, which is one of the requirements for taking adverse possession. And really, if you've been gone 5 years
Yeah,
and the squatters have moved in and they painted the house and they're cutting the lawn,
yeah. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody who has not paid attention to their property for 5 years. It might have been that they never knew that they had it. Maybe it was willed to them or something and they never knew.
But as a realtor who might come across this situation, what I can offer you is pay attention to the homes that you're entrusted with to manage, to sell, or whatever your professional connection is to the property. The sooner you identify these problems, the more likely, no matter where you are, you can fix the problem. If you were there yesterday and nobody was there, and today somebody says they live there, I think almost anywhere in California is going to say, no, they're clearly trespassing.
Right.
Now, when they start getting mail and they register to vote, those things all make it harder. So the sooner you identify a squatter type situation, the more likely your law enforcement people can help you through it.
So that goes to the realtors out there who are going to be watching this, is when you have a property and it's vacant, go check on the property once a week. Drive by it. Check things out. And that's your responsibility. It's your fiduciary responsibility. Go check on the house. I have wireless security cameras that I have purchased. I have a property over on Norma. It's a 21,000 square foot building. I have a wireless security camera sitting there, and it tells me if somebody walks in or a bird flies by,
Middle of the night.
or a rodent runs by it. But I feel strongly about that. Is agents have a fiduciary responsibility to go check these properties. Just don't say, yeah, I'm gonna go sell your house or your building or your whatever it is, and don't ever go back. It's your job to go and protect that property.
With the cost of these small cameras these days, you know, Ring, Egg, I don't know, all the other names, there's really not a reason to make it so you can be alerted if somebody is at a property you're responsible for.
Right,
You know,
absolutely.
you can take that up and take it down just like you do your the little locks you put on the door with the keys or codes in them.
Right.
It's no different. Just putting something up temporarily. Hey, I'm responsible. I want to know who walks up and when. That way you can alert the homeowner. Hey, I realize you moved to Georgia, but should somebody be at your house right now? Because I see this. And then you, as their agent, can go over there and say, hey, officer, I just talked to the homeowner. Nobody should be here. Then we know it might be a burglary where they're trying to take the appliances and things. And it gives us an opportunity to maybe catch them before they take stuff. Because once they take stuff, the odds of getting it back in good working condition are very low. We might make an arrest, we might find the stuff, but you're never truly going to be whole. If we can get there before those things are removed and stop the crime in progress, now we've made the biggest difference that we can for the community member.
Right. Well, Chief, I really, really appreciate you joining us today. A lot of information. I really appreciate it. And I know that you're available to our community. I think it's your name at ridgecrest.gov, I think, isn't it?
M. Issett at ridgecrest-ca.gov. I really wish we could just be like rpd.com, but I haven't convinced anybody to change it yet.
I vote yes.
But I'm easy to get a hold of. If one of your groups just needs a presentation, I can go. I can certainly have one of our great staff members go, depending on if there's a specific topic where somebody might be a subject matter expert. We work for the community, and that's just not out driving around writing tickets and arresting people. It's educating people. It's being present when people just have questions about what we do or why we do it. We're here to answer those questions.
Chief, I appreciate everything you do. Appreciate you coming on the show. With that, I'm going to say, Rachel, and people want to get a hold of you, other than carrier pigeons, how can they get a hold of you?
I would also like to very much thank the Chief for your time. It was great. Thank you for letting us take 30 minutes out of your day. You can reach me at rachel@gratishomes.com. My website is rachelmoreno.gratishomes.com. You can call text at 805-813-0664.
And you can reach
Scott?
me at homeswithscottkmiller.com, or call me, text me, smoke signals at 760-264-3501. So as always, again, Chief, I really appreciate you joining us, and you'll also get a copy of this. And with that, I will say, oh, by the way, I think this was our,
this is season 2, episode 10.
season 2, episode 10. Look at
Yes.
that.
You guys
Yeah,
are a big deal. Season 2.
right. Well,
Yes,
we
this
think
is our
we think
second
we
I'll
are.
have, to, I'll have to binge watch season 1.
It's really fun when Rachel loses her background. That's the best one.
I really
Very well.
appreciate you guys having me. If there's ever anything I can do or talk about a different topic, whatever I can do to be a good partner, just let me know.
Thank
Very
you
well.
so much. We appreciate you.
All right,
Thanks,
take care.
everybody. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Till next time.